Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Anthony Garcia with the Peaceful Mind Counseling Group. And today I want to address a question that we get often, and it's regarding how to set boundaries and effective boundaries with loved ones, family, particularly with family. I think it's oftentimes a little bit easier to establish boundaries with friends, but generally, what we will be talking about today is how to establish boundaries with family. I believe that everyone deserves quality counseling, and we make sure this happens by only accepting to work with clients that we are completely confident we can help. Okay, so establishing boundaries with family, that's probably one of the hardest things to do, right? Especially if you come from a cultural background where boundaries are almost taboo on its own, right? It's not something that's normal or something that the family is not going to really understand. You can oftentimes come off as aggressive or cold-hearted or not loving, not kind. Um, and oftentimes that happens as a result of people's perspectives or backgrounds as to we're family. This is what we're supposed to do. I remember that growing up for myself, there were no boundaries. People would come in and out of the house. That's just how it was. And the family and friends, it's just there were no boundaries. Mom would be up in my business, and till this day, she tries calling and getting involved in my relationship in my house, and so setting boundaries is something that is extremely important. But the area that I specifically want to address with setting boundaries is with those people that become toxic, right? Those people that we can't necessarily eliminate from our life because they're so close to us, maybe a parent, maybe a close sibling, but we can't live with them, right? Can't live with them, but can't live without them. And so, one of the first things that I like to educate my clients on is to really evaluate whether their quality of life is is better as a result of having that person in their life or not. And if the answer is no, and you do a little bit of introspection, right, a little bit of look inside yourself, and you can honestly acknowledge that it's probably not you that's the issue, because we all carry our own life of experiences and problems that shape the way we view the world. If we can honestly acknowledge that it's probably not us, that it's probably them and their behavior or their past traumas. Oftentimes, we as the children of parents with traumatic past or their own experiences in life, we tend to sympathize with them, right? Like, well, they didn't know any better, or their background, or their past, or their childhood was very rough. And that's not what we're addressing right now. In order for us to be able to set effective boundaries, what I believe is the most important thing is to first acknowledge whether my quality of life right now is better with this person in my life or not. And if the answer is still, usually when we're considering boundaries, usually we're kind of right on that line as to whether we want to cross them off or not. We simply want to be able to have some distance or have effective boundaries to where they're not interfering in our day-to-day life, right? And so we might not be at that crossroads of crossing them off completely. And so when we're not at that crossroads of really axing them out of our life altogether, the first thing that's important is to recognize for yourself that why are your boundaries important? And if your boundaries are going to lead to a better peace of mind for yourself, then those boundaries should be respected. And oftentimes it's not as easy as just telling a loved one, hey, these are my new boundaries, and then they start following suit and respecting those boundaries. Oftentimes it's quite the opposite. Oftentimes they'll make you feel like you're crazy or you're so wrong or you're so bad, right? And I think that the most important place to start with that is to recognize for yourself first, why is it that those boundaries are important? If you recognize why it is that those boundaries are important, the next thing and the only thing that you can really do is continue to establish those boundaries and remind your family member of those boundaries. You know, when it does get to a point that people aren't respecting those boundaries or choosing to respect them, especially the older we get in life, one of the things that I've learned over my years of practice and in my own personal life is that we leave and cleave, right? And it's biblical. And we leave our family of origin, meaning we leave our parents, we leave our siblings, and we cleave to our partner, right? So meaning that eventually what you have left is the person you chose to live your life with. And so that needs to become your number one priority. And that's a whole nother conversation and question that we get often in relationship counseling. But for right now, the establishing boundaries needs to be, if it's affecting your quality of life, if it's affecting your sanity or your relationship, it's probably important that you establish those boundaries with the family, always keeping in mind that my new family of origin is the person who I'm choosing to spend the rest of my life with, usually my spouse, right? My wife, my husband. And so from that perspective, it's extremely, extremely important that you are consistently aware of having that communication with your partner if you're in a relationship, or if you're single, still asking yourself the same situation, right? Why would I accept this kind of behavior from my parent? This, if it's unacceptable, it's unacceptable, and it's okay for you to establish those boundaries and continue to remind them of the importance of it until eventually the window gets smaller and smaller. So if I'm seeing you as my parent 5-6 days a week and you're not respecting my boundaries, I might have to tweak that down a little bit. And I might have to see you a couple of times a week. And if those boundaries are still being crossed, whatever those boundaries are that you've established for yourself are still being crossed, then I might have to start toning down a little bit of my interaction with you because it's affecting my quality of life. And the hope is that it never gets to the point where they're parents or siblings that you only see on holidays. Or for some people, that's a healthy thing, right? Not to see your family at all until a holiday, if that. But you really got to ask yourself whether that's something that is going to be acceptable for you, for you to allow them to continue to push these boundaries. If you're setting them, stay firm with them. There's a reason you've established them. And ideally, in that leave and cleave concept where you cleave to your partner should be helping you with enforcing those boundaries so that you could live a better quality of life. So I know that's a long-winded response. I hope that's somewhat helpful. Thank you all for watching. I'm Dr. Garcia. Until the next video, don't forget to be kind to yourself. It's a great way to start a peaceful mind.